Have you ever stopped to truly listen, not to the world outside, but to the world within? Not the sounds of traffic, nature, or voices of others, but the constant whisper that accompanies you everywhere. That whisper, that voice, sometimes encouraging, often critical, is the unseen architect of your reality. Now ask yourself, who is this voice? And more importantly, who are you in relation to it? Most people never pause long enough to consider these questions. They move through life, driven by the momentum of their thoughts, unaware that the true battleground lies not outside but within. The inner dialogue is the silent sculptor of your decisions, emotions, and identity. Yet it is also the most misunderstood and neglected aspect of the human experience. Let's begin with a truth that is as unsettling as it is liberating. You are not your thoughts. This may seem paradoxical. After all, if you are not your thoughts, then what are you? Are you not the one who thinks, who decides, who feels? But consider this. If you can observe your thoughts, if you can listen to the voice within, then who is the observer? This question has haunted philosophers, mystics, and psychologists for centuries. From Descartes, I think, therefore, I am to Eastern teachings that emphasize detachment from the mind. The relationship between self and thought is one of the most profound mysteries of existence. The inner dialogue is not a single voice. It is a chorus, a cacophony of influences, memories, fears, and aspirations. It is shaped by your past, colored by your experiences, and fueled by your beliefs. But here's the critical point. It is not fixed. Your inner dialogue is malleable, a canvas on which you can paint new narratives. Yet, most of us allow it to run wild, like an untamed horse, dragging us in directions we never consciously chose. Why? Because the voice within operates on autopilot. It is a reflection of your subconscious mind, replaying patterns and scripts you've absorbed over the years. Psychologists call this phenomenon negative self-talk. It is the tendency to focus on your flaws, magnify your mistakes, and predict failure. But where does this negativity come from? To understand this, we must delve into the roots of the inner dialogue. As children, we are like sponges, absorbing the words, actions, and attitudes of those around us. If you grew up in an environment of criticism, neglect, or unrealistic expectations, these experiences become the foundation of your inner voice. Imagine a child who is constantly told, "You're too slow," or "You'll never amount to anything." Over time, these external judgments become internalized. The child grows up, but the voice remains, repeating the same criticisms, long after the external source is gone. This is the tragedy of the inner dialogue. It often perpetuates the wounds of the past, keeping us trapped in cycles of self-doubt and fear. But, and this is crucial, it doesn't have to be this way. The inner dialogue is not your destiny, it is your creation, and what is created can be recreated. The first step to transformation is awareness. Most people are so immersed in their thoughts that they don't even realize they are thinking. The voice within operates in the background like a shadow, unseen but ever present. Mindfulness is the practice of bringing this shadow into the light. It is the art of observing your thoughts without judgment, of listening to your inner dialogue as you would listen to a friend. When you become mindful, you begin to notice patterns. You notice how often your inner voice criticizes rather than encourages, how it focuses on failure rather than possibility. And in this noticing, a shift occurs. You realize that you are not the voice, you are the observer, the listener, the silent witness to its ceaseless monologue. But awareness alone is not enough. To truly transform your inner dialogue, you must engage with it. This requires discipline, a discipline of the mind, as rigorous as training the body or mastering an art. Let's explore what this discipline looks like in practice. Every time you catch your inner voice saying, "I can't," challenge it. Ask yourself, is this true, or is this fear speaking? Replace "I can't" with "I will try." Replace "I'm not enough" with "I am growing." These small shifts, repeated consistently, create profound change. But let's not ignore the darker aspects of the inner dialogue, the fears, doubts, and insecurities that often dominate our thoughts. Carl Jung, the great psychologist, called this the shadow self. He believed that the parts of ourselves we reject or deny do not disappear. They linger in the subconscious, influencing our behavior in subtle but powerful ways. To silence the shadow is to deny a part of our humanity. Instead, we must listen to it with compassion, understanding its pain and transforming it into wisdom. This process is not easy. It requires courage, the courage to face your fears, to confront the stories you've been telling yourself, and to rewrite them. Imagine this. You wake up each morning and consciously decide the tone of your inner dialogue. Instead of, "I'm so tired, I can't do this," you say, "Today is a new beginning. I am capable of facing whatever comes my way." It sounds simple, doesn't it? Yet simplicity does not mean ease. The mind resists change, clinging to familiar patterns, even when they harm us. This is where spiritual wisdom becomes invaluable. Many spiritual traditions teach that the mind is like a garden. If left untended, it becomes overrun with weeds, negative thoughts, fears, and doubts. But with care and discipline, it can flourish, yielding the fruits of peace, clarity, and joy. The practice of gratitude is one such discipline. When you focus on what you are grateful for, you shift the narrative of your inner dialogue from lack to abundance. Gratitude is not just an emotion, it is a lens through which you view the world. Another powerful practice is self-compassion. When you make a mistake, instead of berating yourself, speak to yourself as you would to a friend. Say, "It's okay, mistakes are part of growth. What can I learn from this?" These practices, simple yet profound, have the power to transform your inner dialogue and by extension your life. The voice within is not your master, it is your creation, and what is created can be transformed. So, I ask you, what will you say to yourself today? The question remains, how do you take control of this inner dialogue, this constant stream of thoughts that shapes your reality? The answer lies in understanding the mechanics of the mind, and then applying disciplined effort to rewire its pathways. The human brain is a remarkable organ. Neuroscience tells us that our thoughts follow neural pathways, much like water flowing through a riverbed. The more frequently a thought is repeated, the deeper the riverbed becomes, making it easier for the mind to flow in that direction. This is why negative thought patterns, once established, can feel so difficult to break. But here's the empowering truth. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself, means that you can create new pathways. Every time you consciously redirect a negative thought or challenge a limiting belief, you are carving a new riverbed. Over time, this new pathway becomes the default, and the old, destructive patterns begin to fade. This process, however, is not instantaneous. It requires patience and persistence. Think of it as tending a garden. The weeds, your negative thoughts, will not disappear overnight. But with consistent effort, you can uproot them and plant seeds of positivity, resilience, and self-belief. One powerful tool in this process is the practice of affirmations. Affirmations are not just empty words, they are declarations of intention. When you repeat phrases like, "I am worthy," or "I am capable," you are not lying to yourself. You are speaking to the deeper, subconscious layers of your mind, planting seeds that will eventually take root. But affirmations alone are not enough. They must be accompanied by action. If you tell yourself, "I am disciplined," but fail to follow through, the inner dialogue will rebel, calling you a fraud. Discipline then becomes the bridge between intention and transformation. Let's explore discipline more deeply. Many people misunderstand discipline as a form of self-punishment or denial, but true discipline is an act of self-love. It is the commitment to align your actions with your highest values and goals, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. Consider this. Every time you choose discipline over indulgence, you are sending a powerful message to your inner dialogue. You are saying, "I am in control. I choose growth over comfort." Over time, this message becomes internalized, reshaping the narrative of your inner voice. But discipline is not just about doing. It is also about being. It is the practice of staying present, of resisting the urge to escape into distractions or numbing behaviors. This requires mindfulness, the ability to observe your thoughts and emotions without becoming entangled in them. Mindfulness teaches you to respond rather than react. When a negative thought arises, instead of spiraling into self-doubt or despair, you can pause, breathe, and choose a different response. This simple act of pausing is a form of discipline, a moment of reclaiming your power. Now let's connect this to a deeper philosophical understanding. The ancient Stoics believed that discipline of the mind is the key to freedom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What the Stoics understood is that true freedom is not the absence of constraints, but the mastery of one's inner world. When you discipline your thoughts, you free yourself from the tyranny of fear, doubt, and negativity. But let's not ignore the spiritual dimension of this journey. Many spiritual traditions teach that the mind is both the greatest obstacle and the greatest tool on the path to enlightenment. Practice means showing up every day, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it. Detachment means letting go of the outcome, trusting that the process itself is enough. Let's return to the practical application of these principles. Imagine a typical day in your life. From the moment you wake up, your inner dialogue begins. It tells you what to focus on, how to feel, what to expect. Now imagine starting your day with intention. Before you even get out of bed, take a moment to set the tone for your inner dialogue. Say to yourself, "Today I choose clarity, I choose kindness, I choose discipline." Throughout the day, pay attention to the voice within. When it criticizes, counter it with compassion. When it doubts, counter it with courage. When it fears, counter it with faith. This is not about suppressing your thoughts or pretending everything is fine. It is about engaging with your inner dialogue as you would with a dear friend, honestly, patiently, and lovingly. Over time, this practice will transform not only your inner dialogue, but also your entire experience of life. You will begin to see challenges as opportunities, failures as lessons, and yourself as a work in progress. Imperfect, but infinitely capable of growth. And so the question remains, will you let the voice within control you, or will you take control of it?